madness, mayhem, and just foolishness.
Hi, how are you? I hope that you're very, very well. The Glee Project! For those of you who don't know me, by the way, my name is Amy. I make a lot of theatre content on YouTube, and I also talk about Glee a lot. I will leave a link to all of my Glee videos down below. So if you do like that kind of thing, then please do subscribe. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. I don't normally do this, but I did a video on Les Mis the other day, and people seem to really enjoy it, but it didn't get that many views. So if you do like Les Mis, then you might like that video. So I'll leave a link down to that below as well. Anyway, the Glee Project. I think it was after season 2 of Glee, they'd done the Glee tour and everything, and Ryan Murphy was like, let's make the X Factor, but for Glee. And I'll be honest with you, I was obsessed. It was back in like 2010, 2011, and it was amazing. I watched it back in the day, and then I thought, do you know what? I am not in work right now, and for the last 4 months, maybe I'll watch the Glee Project. So yesterday I binged the whole of series 1, and I thought I would share some of my thoughts. This video does contain basically every spoiler in the show. So if you haven't seen it, I would suggest going and watching it. I watched it on Daily Motion. There was one episode missing, but I'll get to it. Yeah, you should be able to find it there. I was convinced I was someday gonna be on the Glee Project. So in the first season, there's this guy called Damien, and he was Irish, and I was like, if an Irish boy can be on it, then so can I. So after the first season, I remember there was like an advert for the second season, and I applied on every platform that you could at the time, and it said you can only apply if you're a US resident or are eligible to work in the US. But I was like, I don't care. Ryan Murphy's gonna see me in an audition, and he's gonna be in love with my natural charismatic energy, and he's gonna cast me in the show, and he's gonna say, you are the show, and I'm gonna be on Glee. Obviously I never got a reply to any application, and I'm still profoundly unsuccessful, so we love that. I really wanted to be on Glee. Instead, I just talk about it on the internet. That's as close as I'll ever get to it. Right, so the intro on the first episode. So they had, you know the guy who's like, here's what you missed on Glee. You know that guy? So he did the intro for this show as well. Poor lad, I don't know who wrote that script, but it was so great. It was like, and if you don't know what Glee is, you like totally need to get slushied. And it's like, so cringe. Such a throwback watching this show. I mean, I loved it at the time, but seeing people like Lindsay and Alex Newell, who are like huge stars now, as these like little babies, it's so, I don't know, it's real trippy. I love it. Okay, so obviously each week, so they had a homework challenge where they'd have to like learn a song, and then a cast member from Glee would come in and like pick like a winner, and then they get time with that Glee cast member, and then they would shoot a music video at the end of the week, and then they'd have like a sing off. So I think it was a really cool setup of the show. So on the first week they had Darren Criss come in, and oh my god, he looks like such a fetus. He looks so young. Now I also do need to have a mention about Cameron right out the gate. Now listen, we're gonna get a lot of talk about Cameron. I was in love with him. So just preparing you now, we're gonna be talking about him a lot. Oh my god, Zach and Brooke doing the choreography. I loved them so much. Zach Woodley is such an infectious person to watch. As the show goes on, he gets sweeter and sweeter every time you see him. Whereas in the first episode, he's like quite sassy. It's like the first day of choreography, and he's like, less of whatever it is you're doing. I don't know. As the show goes along, I think Zach is such a nice person. I wonder if that is the producers like saying to him, can you say something a bit, you know, like dance teacher sassy. I did a video very similar to this on the search for Elle Woods, which is where they found Elle Woods to be on Broadway, and they had done basically like a reunion where they all talked about what it was like behind the scenes and stuff, and they were saying how like Cassie was portrayed as like a really mean person. And so whenever I watch a TV show like this, especially that is like very heavily edited, it's not got like live studio performances and stuff, I always have to take it with a real grain of salt, because I think especially the mean characters or the people who are painted out as like the baddies, I think that you have to watch it and be like, did you really say that, or did a producer tell you to say that? Are they just exploiting you because you're a literal teenager right now? And so I do wonder that with Zach. Oh my god, Nikki Anders doing all of the vocals with them in the recording booths and stuff. The thing I really liked about it was that she was very honest. She was nice, but she was also like, she wouldn't take any crap. I feel like she was a person that you could talk to on a human level, but at the same time she's like, no, that's not good enough. And I think that's the sign of a very well-adjusted person in the entertainment business, which is hard to come by. Oh my god, right, this is so niche, but I loved it in the first episode when Hannah walked into one of the rooms and she was like, look
it's got holes in it like cheese.
This girl is my soul sister. I loved it when Lindsay Pierce came in and she was like, you know, I'm classically trained and that's why I'm nailing it. And I'm like, I mean, fair, you know? As I say, like, I feel like we were definitely supposed to dislike Lindsay, but I always liked her. She was always my favorite. I also think it's so interesting to hear Alex Newell singing because he was only 18 when they did the Glee project. And now he's like a massive star. He's in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. He's been on Broadway. Such a huge star. He was obviously on Glee for a really long time as well. I think he's got one of the strongest voices in theatre history. His voice is ridiculous. By the way, I know that Alex is gender non-conforming and I've looked up his pronouns and he said that he is happy to go by he, him and they, them. So that's what I'm gonna go with. And so it's so interesting to hear Alex. I mean, he was ridiculously talented in the Glee project, but to see where he's come from in terms of technique and control and things is fascinating. I think it's so cool. The angles in Samuel Larson's face make me want to cry. As someone who is, you know, 90% potato, it's fascinating to me when someone can have that many angles to their face. I've got no angles to my face, I'm completely round. So it makes you want to cry. In the first episode, they were all clearly asked to come into the confessional booth where they had those like bright colours and like a light behind them, and they'd clearly been asked, who do you think should go and why? And Cameron said of Hannah, he was like, you know, she's very funny but comedy only goes so far. And I'm like, I feel attacked. So in the first sing-off they had Ellis, Bryce and Damien. And I felt so sorry for Ellis because they gave her Big Spender. I'm sorry, that's a hard song to sing on your own. And they gave Bryce Just the Way You Are, which I also think was mean because it's out of his vocal range. And I think it's all good and well picking songs for people, but if it's out of somebody's vocal range, it's not something that they can train to do within 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like Bryce was kind of set up to fail. And then Damien did Jesse's Girl. This was such an iconic sing-off. I remember as well when Damien, they were like, you're gonna do Jesse's Girl, and he was like, I've never heard that song before, and I was like, excuse me, they did it on Glee in the first season. You are a fake fan and you shouldn't be on the show and I should be instead. I think I was just jealous because he was Irish and I was English, and I was like, we're nearer to each other than being American. I was like, why do you get to be on the show and I don't? So I think that was just my ridiculous jealousy coming through there. But we can all never forget when Damien, instead of singing I Wish That I Had Jesse's Girl, he sang I Wish I Was Jesse's Girl. A great moment. I think it's really interesting as well to give them songs rather than to let them pick them themselves, because that is like, I think already, you know, you're on this TV show, you're a teenager, you know that you're about to go in to sing for Ryan Murphy. It's like, right, you've got this song to sing that you've never heard of before and you have to learn it in 2 hours. You'd already be feeling crap because it's like, it's the first week to sing, I'm already in the bottom 3, I'm already worse than everybody else, I'm away from home. Do you know what I mean? There's so many things going against them. And I think that they all did so well considering all of those circumstances. I do also love that Ryan Murphy was a judge on the show, because with a lot of these shows and things, they get people who are not necessarily always qualified to be the judges on them, and I feel like they kind of let down the show. But I like that Ryan Murphy took it seriously and he was really invested in the show and its success and picking the right people, not just for doing a TV show to get more publicity for Glee. I think it's also fascinating to see somebody like Ryan Murphy be on a TV show every week, because this is a person who created something, like for me at the time, this was someone who created something that I just adored. And to learn more about him and what he's like and the things he is entertained by and things, I think that's like so cool. And I think it's really special that he was a judge every week on the show, and it really like kind of legitimized the show. Yeah, I think it was a real shame that Bryce went on the first week. I think he was a really talented person and I think he had a lot more to give as well. I feel like he was set up to fail and I don't know why, but I liked him. Now, I'm fascinated by Keep Holding On. So at the end of every episode, they would sing Keep Holding On. So the person who was out would go to the front, sing it on their own, and then the people who were left would all stand there and sing the bum 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 bum. Because some of the people, when they got kicked out, were really upset, like crying. And I'm like, and then you come back, full makeup and hair done, ready to do your Keep Holding On. Like, did they bring them back another day? Did they have to do it that same day? Did they do it when the whole show had finished? I don't know. I would love to know. Each week they had like a different name of the episode. So like the second week was Theatricality. And I remember Alex coming in and was like, I am Theatricality. And I was like, same. In the second episode, Idina Menzel came in as the guest judge. How could we not adore this show? Why was this show not renewed for 10 seasons and on forever? I loved it. It was right up my alley. It was my jam. There was a bit when they were doing the music video and somebody was like, if you look stupid, I'll kill you. And I was like, me? When I used to teach 4-year-olds and they do the end of term performance. Some of the styling on this show, man, I want to know how much they brought of their own clothes and how much was like stuff that they were given on the show. What was with the scarves? In basically every single shot, Alex Newell has got a scarf around his neck. Why did we all love scarves so much? And belts over cardigans. It was either McKinley or Lindsay. They seem to just always be wearing belts over their cardigan. It's like, you don't need a belt right now. You don't need a belt over your cardigan. Oh my God, when Lindsay came off and they were like,
how'd you do?
Did you hear it?
Yes.
So that's what I did.
iconic. I could never. The confidence, I just can't. The execution, I can't. I loved the song We're Not Gonna Take It. I actually didn't know that song before the Glee project. So in my head, that's a Glee project original. I know it's not, but that was the first time I ever heard it. And with it opening with Alex's super high note, it's like, wow. I also loved McKinley's vocals in We're Not Gonna Take It as well. I thought she had such a good voice. Oh, so the next week they had Dot Marie Jones coming on as a judge. It was vulnerability. I love how whenever Cameron or Sam had to emote, they would come forward in their like solo moments and just bend their knees. I thought it was funny. In this episode, I felt really sorry for Lindsay because the editing again was so heavy on making her look bad. Like there was a bit when they were all sitting around and she was talking, they'd had it so that her speech was like overlapping the last bit of speech. So it looked like it was going on for ages and ages and everyone was sat there like, and I think that is so mean to do that. Like, she's a teenager. They're like theatre kids. They're loud and sometimes you're excited and you talk too much. I mean, I do that now. I'm so sorry for the lighting in this video. Cameron though. Cameron every time with his little glasses. Do you know what? He was exactly what young Amy wanted. A little spaghetti boy. I feel like Cameron was the original, the OG small bean. You know a small bean? A little baby, a little bush baby? Cameron was that. For me. In that week, it was Cameron, Damien, and Emily in the final. And I have to say, Cameron was obviously my favorite, as I say, but I feel like him or Damien should have gone that week. I think that Emily did a better sing-off performance doing Grenade. I think it was a shame that she was sent home that week. I didn't understand why she was sent home. So the next episode was Danceability, and they had to do Hey Soul Sister. Their version of Hey Soul Sister should go down in history as like how to not look cool when you're singing a song. Because bless their little baby cotton socks, but they just clearly had no idea what they were doing. They like came forward to do their lines and were like doing these little dance moves. Bless them. I don't mean that in a mean way. Like, I feel like they were under a lot of pressure and the majority of them were not dancers. And then Alex Newell coming forward and doing pirouettes. I'm doing a pirouette. I'm doing a pirouette. Alex was like, you know, I am the best dancer, which is like fair enough if you are. Then to be like, you know, I wanted somebody else to win. Come on, mate. Stop playing. I actually felt really sorry for Sam because Sam won the challenge. And it's like, mate, you're not being very nice right now. Do we all remember that moment Sam was in the booth and they were like, can you do some rapping? And at the end you went,
Skadoosh.
and Nikki was like,
Douche. That was like your own thing.
and he was like,
Totally.
we do not stand a thief. However, maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I also feel like if Hannah does that all the time, maybe she'd done it in front of Nikki before, so she would have known. I don't know, was that whole thing manufactured? I don't know. I also think it's funny when they're in their confessions and literally everybody is like, yeah, I think this person's really big-headed. And then it shoots to that person and they're like, yeah, well, I think that this person's really big-headed. And the other person's like, well, I think this person has a really big ego. And it's like, guys, I think you're all just quite big-headed. That's fine. I also think it's very funny when they are in the like preparation room for the sing-off, the 3 people who have to do their last chance performances 5 minutes before performance, and then they go out for the performance and they've suddenly got like their hair and makeup and they're in a new outfit, and I'm like, no, you did not do that in 5 minutes. This is a lie. You can say 5 minutes to getting ready, but 5 minutes to performance is a lie. I also disagreed this week when McKinley went as well. I do not think that she should have gone. When she did Last Name, I think she did a great performance. Oh my goodness, the pairability episode, such an iconic episode. Oh my goodness, the moment where Alex and Mateus had their like who can sing higher moment. So I think this is such an interesting moment because Alex is singing really high and Damien's like, wow, that's like a gift from God. And Mateus is like, yeah, well, I can sing that high. And then they have this like little mini sing off. And then when they had their last chance performances, Ryan Murphy was saying to Mateus, you know, talking about him coming across cocky and stuff. And Damien was like, oh, well, you know, wow, there's a dragonfly. Wow. Damien's like, oh yeah, well, you know, they had this moment and Mateus was trying to say, well, I'm as good as you. But it's like, the thing is, I think there's a time to be confident. And then I felt like at the time, that was its own thing. And then Mateus was like, well, I'm as good as you. Trying to like start something, which isn't necessary. So I thought that was really interesting that he brought up that. I don't know, I mean, obviously you only see one side of it and you only see the edited side that's made for TV. So I do love how savage Ryan Murphy can be. He'll very much like cut the crap and just like get to the point, and I really admired that with him. He was trying to have a real conversation with them. He was saying, you know, I don't know how to write for you, give me more, and he was being very honest with people and I really appreciated that. I also loved how Robert Ulrich loved everybody. I loved that! Like, I thought he was so sweet. So he was the casting director on Glee and also cast the show and was also one of the judges. And I thought he was awesome, like just such a nice guy. You know when you can tell someone is just like lovely? Although he never cast me on the show, so really, I hate him. No, I'm totally over it. I'm fine that I was never on the Glee project or on Glee, I'm fine. I'm joking. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what the word tenacity meant until the Glee project. Do you know what I do like is that as the show went on, the thing is I never really got the Damien thing. He wasn't one of my favourite singers or actors or anything, but I do think he was such a nice person, and I think it goes to show that being nice gets you a very long way, because he definitely wasn't the most talented, and I don't even think he was the most writable. You know, he wasn't a character that I could see you writing a big part for and things. He was so nice and he's always standing up for people. Like in situations he'll always talk up for somebody, and I think that was a really amazing attribute that he had. And this was the Slushy episode. I keep saying it, but an iconic moment. This shit went down in history, man. This shit was ingrained in my brain. I thought it was really strange how some people just had slushies thrown at them, and then Cameron had to open the locker and it was just like a spray of slushies. Cameron like really struggled with the slushies, and I felt sorry for him really because it was like a fountain in your face. And Marissa had the same thing. She went to the water fountain and it was just like slushy in her face, which I didn't really understand because it's not so much like they're being bullied and have slushies thrown at them. It's like there's an issue with the water supply at the school and, you know, slushy is going through the water pipes. Do you know what I mean? Oh my god, but this was the week when Cameron got to sing Love Can Wait. Now, as I say, I love this boy. And then he said, if love is a feeling, then I don't want it. I mean, I remember that whole song. I had that shit on my MP3 player. Now, here's the thing that I was very unsure about with Alex Newell. He said, you know, I've never done drag before the Glee project, and here I am. And he came in to do And I'm Telling You, which was incredible. And he's like, you know, I wanted to come out here and show you that I can do a drag number. Now, number one, he was given the song. So yes, he could have sung it in male presenting clothes. However, in the dressing room, there was like 3 dresses and these heels laid out for him. You cannot tell me that they were his clothes. This must have been production laying out the clothes for him, right? Because he'd already said the week before, I've never done drag before, come into the Glee project. I've never dressed as a woman before, blah, blah. So he's not gonna have all these dresses in his bag. And it's not like he popped down to Target once he was told that he was gonna have to sing And I'm Telling You, because you've got a 2-hour time slot to sing that. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like this was something that he was given that and he embraced it, but I think showing it as though it was all on his own back wasn't quite right, because I don't think it was. And then also the styling of whenever Alex dressed in dresses and things, and even as Unique on the show, why did they dress him like that? I mean, the clothes he was put in, my mum wouldn't wear, and she's in her 60s. Why are you dressing this person in like these frumpy old lady clothes that no teenager would ever wear? That was a real issue that I had with Glee and the Glee project with Unique and Alex's styling. I also think it's interesting that they never really did like acting scenes. When they did the Search for Elle Woods, they would do acting scenes and different challenges that were more kind of matched to the show. So they would do like endurance challenges and scene work and working with the dog and stuff. Whereas on the Glee project, it was like you learn a song and you do it, and then you learn a song and you film a music video, and then you do another song. And I feel like Glee is so much more than just the music. I think that could have been definitely improved on the show. Okay, the next episode was the Sexuality challenge. And this episode is not anywhere. You can't find it anywhere. And I did look, and the guest judges that week were Mark and Ashley. And I did wonder whether it was something to do with Mark, because obviously with his history and it being the Sexuality week. But I did manage to find on YouTube there were some random clips, and at one point he was talking to Alex and he was like, are you old enough to be sexy yet? And I don't know if I don't know, I mean, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. This was a really big episode because this was the episode where Cameron essentially quit the show himself. Obviously he had earlier had that moment where Lindsay kissed him and he was really upset about it because he was raised a very strict Christian. And so the Sexuality week was like totally out of his comfort zone, which I think is totally fair enough as well. It's all very well to say, oh well, it's acting, which it is, but if that's also who you are at your very deep core and how you've been raised, I think that you can't push somebody to do something that they aren't comfortable to do. I did think it was really interesting in that episode because Cameron basically was like, you know, I don't think this is for me, and Ryan was like, so what, you quitting? And he was like, well, and Ryan was like, let me make the decision for you, and then kicked Damien out, like put Damien on the not called back list, and then Cameron crossed out his name and put Cameron, basically gave his place to Damien, which I think is amazing as well, because could you imagine if he hadn't? I just think that would have totally like rewritten history, obviously, because Damien then went on to win it and be on Glee, and it's so interesting to think what would have happened if Damien had gone that week. I really liked Hannah in the show. I thought she was a very infectious person, and to watch her, she was so full of life and so just engaging to watch. I just don't think that she had the vocals though. I love it how they were like, the lesson is being in love with someone who doesn't know you exist, and I was like, me at Jeremy Jordan. I loved how in one of Lindsay's last chance performances she had to do Defying Gravity. Obviously Broadway is closed, but she is Elphaba on Broadway at the moment. Like if you go to the Gershwin Theatre, there's pictures of her as Elphaba, and I think that is amazing. One of my favourite things is watching old reality TV shows like competitions and things, and watching the clips of the person when they are young, knowing what's happened in their life after. Like when I look at Lindsay on the show singing Defying Gravity, and it's like, if that little girl knew that she was going to be playing Elphaba, I think that's for me. I love it. They're so soft, but I think it's amazing. As I say, Damien is so lovely, and the fact that he dedicated his final performance to Hannah and Cameron, I thought was so beautiful. I don't know, I just think it's mad that Sam and Damien won. Like I think they're both good, but I just thought that Alex and Lindsay were better, but maybe that's because I'm coming from a very musical theatre mind and they were the most musical theatre, and I need to not have these opinions too set in stone. And I do like that Alex and Lindsay obviously also got their 2-episode arcs, and I do love that Alex then went on to be on the show for ages. I'll be honest, on the rewatch I was still sobbing by the end. The people who were my favourites to win didn't win. I was still sobbing because I just think it's so lovely to see people getting their dreams made true. Do you know what I mean? And people being so happy, and oh, I'm so soft. But I just loved it. I thought it was a great TV show. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you want me to do one of these for season 2, then let me know. And as I say, go and watch that Les Mis video, please. And I hope that you're all looking after yourselves and keeping well and drinking lots of water and doing all those good things. And I'll see you soon. Love you lots. Bye.